to know why I would ever use a gun in a soldier. But like she said, the piece is called This Is This, and I guess I can just start by talking about the construction of it. It's intended to be very transparent in its construction, meaning that everything is very clearly placed and propped. There's no sort of mystery to how it's constructed. And everything, something else, it's intended to be very transparent and logical in its construction. And that every piece sort of is reliant on another piece. For instance, there wouldn't be the reflection of the gun if it wasn't for the black piece of spray painted newspaper, and the newspaper wouldn't form a mirror if it wasn't for the angled piece of glass, and the angled piece of glass and the black paper wouldn't form a mirror if it wasn't for the light, and the lights shining up on the gun underneath the chair. And so it's kind of this ABC sort of scenario. It's supposed to be just very simple and kind of to the point in its construction. And that is one of the things that's supposed to go against the kind of broad range of art historical references that it's encompassing. I mean, it's intentionally a bit over the top in its references, I think. Like Kutsu's 1 and 3 chairs, Jeff Koons, vacuums. What else? There's actually a Charles Ray piece that was pointed out to me after I made this, which is strikingly similar. It must have been somewhere in my head. And so it's intended to kind of have all these abstract associations kind of flying in every direction, and then cut through those associations. And I'm in no way trying to downplay the significance of these artworks at all, but the gun is meant to be this sort of black and white, non-connotative, life and death sort of object that cuts through all these abstract concepts and associations. And it kind of comes at you gradually. You could look at it and get, perhaps understand all these art historical associations, and then all of a sudden the gun is kind of hitting you in the face, and you realize that there's this very familiar violent object that's sitting there underneath, in this kind of very accessible area, as if it was planted there by some aggressive person. And the title, This Is This, is actually a line from the Deer Hunter. And there's this great scene where these guys are on a hunting trip, and they're all going through various, post-war trauma and marriage stress. And at one point, they stop the car and they get out, and it's Robert De Niro. He gets out, and he says, he pulls out a rifle and he pulls out a bullet and he points to it and just says, "This is this." And I kind of took that to mean, like, in the face of all these complicated issues, this is simple. This is black and white. This is this. This is all there is, effectively. This begins and ends life. Just a real simple kind of binary. So that's where the title comes from. And I don't know if it's advisable to talk about the kind of personal backstory, but there is. I should say that the piece actually started with the gun itself. I kind of wrapped the entire piece around the gun. I just kind of had this object that I bought and kind of in reaction to the fact that growing up in Austin and growing up with exposure to certain gun usage as far as hunting and gun usage as far as the threat of violence in junior high school, it was always a real kind of present sort of danger to me. I wasn't a present danger, I was constantly threatened by it, but guns were real to me in this weird way where I knew they were dangerous. And after being on the East Coast for a while, I started to notice everyone seemed to have this, or several people have had these stories about encountering, attackers or aggressors who may or may not have a gun, or in a couple cases this person, was kind of bragging about the fact that they chased a guy off with a gun. I was just so baffled. I was just, couldn't understand this world that they were living in where guns aren't real or guns don't represent real violence or something. And so I had just got this gun, and it's this really amazing, very weighty replica of a 9mm Beretta. And so I just kind of had this gun and was just so struck by, this kind of difference in experiences that I've had in my relation to guns and other people. And it's such a loaded object that I knew I couldn't display it in any way. It's just a really difficult object to make art out of. And so I managed to sort of sublimate it in this way with the black reflection. So I guess that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't know that we would have to do this, but. All right, well, if not, you can certainly approach each of the artists individually and ask them any questions that you might have, or any of us. Thank you.